10 practical lessons from generating more than $500,000 in sales for my lifestyle business. Learn once and profit forever. So hi wonderful people, so today I'm going to share with you some of my biggest lessons after generating more than $500,000 right, in sales for my own lifestyle coaching and education business. Right, so hi everyone, so Mark Teo here. What we do is we help entrepreneurs and to grow and build a lucrative six-figure lifestyle business with proven systems and mentorship. So the reason why I do these videos, right, is because I have invested more than $100,000 worth of coaching and mentorship, right, and I'll share with you all my lessons, right, not just from there, but also my own journey of growing a multiple six-figure business as well, right. And hey, right, if some of you would like to join me, right, as a client, right, that would be awesome and that would be great as well. Quick disclaimer, so for today's video, this is also based on what I learned, right, from helping to generate about $3 to $5 million from the previous companies I was part of, right, and so this will be especially great for you, right, if you're also doing sales, right, you are a coach or consultant, you're also into doing services or coaching, training, right, and you're either starting out or feeling actually pretty stuck, right, in your business, right, or you want to start out, right, towards making a multiple six-figure income. Right, and why I feel so important today, right, in terms of this video, is that sales at the end of the day is a recession and an industry-proof skill. And when I first started out, I was completely lost, stuck, and I was overwhelmed, right, with so much advice that I had no idea what to do, right. And so I hope with what we're sharing today, you'll get a clearer idea of what you need to focus on in order, right, to get your six figures in sales and income. And what I love is that you get to learn all of this, right, just once and profit forever, because a lot of these lessons I learned about 5-10 years ago, and I'm still actually profiting, right, from this lesson, even right now today as I build my own business also. And by the way, it's also by doing this that's allowed me to generate six figures, right, in 6 months while launching my business, and more importantly, right, to enjoy my journey, right, throughout the entire way as well. So I was someone who used to hate sales, right, and when I started my business, I made sure that I did not want to do any hard selling. I did not want sales to be awkward or sleazy. I did not want to memorize scripts, right, that I don't really believe in, right? And basically authenticity and making it easy was extremely important for me, right? And so today, right, I'll share with you lessons, right, that have served me well over the years and hope it does so for you too, right? So with that, let's get started. By the way, stay tuned for the last lesson as it's my favorite and I know it's going to be so useful for many of you, but you'll only benefit if you will hear all my lessons, right, along the way also. So with that, here are some of my most practical lessons. Number one, understand that rejections are part of the game. So many years ago, right, when I was in a sales company for about 8 months, right, where I actually had to go on the streets, right, to say hi to people, right, to approach them cold, right, even though most of them don't know me, right, my mentor told me something that I still take into heart today, which is we get paid not for the sales that we close, but for the rejections that we get. Right, and what she wanted to say, right, is that, hey, dude, like, if you're coming to this company, right, or if you come to sales expecting or hoping you don't get rejected, right, you are definitely in the wrong line, right? So what she got me to realize is that rejections, right, when we're doing sales will definitely happen. Who the hell would think that we will not get rejected when we're doing sales? And so if we cannot take it, right, we might be better off being an employee and stuff, but of course we will sacrifice our freedom or might not be doing what we love because of that. As long as you know why we are doing sales, right, or why we're actually doing our business, right, why are we doing it? Because rejections will always be there. It's up to us to choose whether do you want to take it from to take it personally, right, and thinking that the person hates us, he doesn't like us, right, and thinking that one rejection means you're going to fail, right, or to take it positively, right, think about how can we learn from it, right, how can we get better, how can we improve, and realizing that, hey, every rejection just gets me closer to a sale. Right? And so the practical tip right over here is to actually, number one, anticipate that rejections will happen. Right? But number two, what I felt was even more powerful for me over the years in my business was, right, to decide what can I do, right, each time I face a rejection. So for example, during my one-to-one calls, right, when I have with my prospective clients, right, obviously some of them will say no to me, right? So my conversion rates, right, historically has been about 50 to 60%, right, when industry average was about 20 to 30%. This is because of the entire sales process that I teach myself and all my clients as well, right? But what happens is obviously I'll still get people to say no to me. So I can either feel offended or feel bad or feel sad about it, right? But what I would do is every time someone said no to me, I would just say, hey, right, no problem at all. By the way, I hope you got value from this one-to-one call. And they're like, oh yes, I did. I got more clarity, yes, and all blah blah blah. I say, hey, if by any chance, if you got values, and I know you're not going to buy from me anyway, no problem, right? Is it okay if you just shoot a quick testimonial for me, right? Just to share with other people your experiences, right, through the call with me. So even when people said no to me, right, I could still feel somewhat good about it because I still know I get that one extra testimonial, which I'll share more about later in the later lessons, right, that could still benefit me, right, in the future one way or another. right? And another way, right, is that if when people don't buy, right, my workshop after I conduct a masterclass, right, or after I shoot out a live sharing, right, and people don't buy my workshop, my SOP, right, would be to actually ask people, right, message them, right, drop them a call, right, hey bro, I'm just curious, no worries, I'm going to hard sell you, but I'm just curious, like, any reason why you chose not to buy, right, my program? And that got me a lot of data, a lot of feedback, right, and that's what got me, right, to be a lot more aware, right, a lot more succinct for messaging, and become a lot more effective, right, in future runs as well. Lesson number 2, right, the better the product, the less you have to rely on sales and marketing, right? So I share with you a quick story I had with one of my youngest clients of all time, right, back in about 2022. He was extremely young, right, about 18 or 19 years old, right, and when he wanted to start his own mini agency business, right, the problem is that nobody would really trust him. He was procrastinating a lot because he didn't know whether he was good enough, right? He was just feeling very stuck and lost. He did want to build a business, but just didn't know how to get started. What we did, right, was number one, we did recognize that, bro, right, you are probably not as good as people who are charging $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, right, for the marketing services, right? But the question is, does it mean that you still cannot charge for a great product or service? So what we did was, after discussing, we restructured his offer, right, where instead of charging thousands of dollars for him, he would just charge a couple of hundreds, right? Instead of being paid a fixed amount every single month, you just pay me for every single sale or single appointment that you get through my advertisements, right? And from there, right, because he had what we call a foolish to say no offer, he was able to get about 3 to 5 clients. He got a lot of results from them. He started learning, improving, right, using our systems, our strategy, getting feedback from us, and even connecting with some of the people that I would refer him to. He got so good, right, that eventually right now, in just less than 1 year, he would charge about $3,000 to $5,000 for his setup, and he would charge about $2,000 at least, right, every single month, right, to work with him. But it all started because he was able, right, to create a foolish to say no offer based on where he was in terms of the experience and expertise at that point of time, right? And then he will increase his prices, right? Increase the level of stable income they could get, right? But it wouldn't, you started because he first created a stupid or foolish to say no offer, right? And improved over time. When I first started my business, my coaching, right, I gave a stupid to say no offer by saying that as long as you sign up with me, number one, you'll get a 100% money back guarantee. That means if you don't find the program is worth it, right, you'll get the money back. But number two is, all my clients, right, every single week will have a one-to-one call with me. And even though that was me putting a lot of time, a lot of effort to get those sales, I was ready to go for it because I was starting out, right? I still want to get more feedback. And by me working with them actually one by one, right, I get a lot more feedback and data, right, to improve myself in my coaching. And so the lesson over here, right, what we're going to do is creating a foolish to say no offer, right? Especially when starting out, right? Number one, right, is how can you potentially reduce the risk of whoever that might be working with you. Sometimes you might even want to work for free, right? Because all you want to do, right, is to get enough experience for you to grow, right, in terms of the number of pricing that you charge in the future, right? Number two is do not limit yourself, right, in terms of how you can help when starting out. Don't do whatever it takes, right? Over deliver when you can, especially when starting out, because you want to impress the person so much that you might be able to charge high in the future or get a glowing testimonial from them, because chances are you might not be as good as people who are 10, 20, 30 years in the space, but you can do it with sheer effort, with sheer attitude and intention as well. So in my case, right, is I was also teaching people investing, right? I was connecting them with people, right? Even though I didn't have to, and I would showcase them on my profile or share them on my social media as my way of value adding. Also, over time, when you get to increase your price by putting in less time, right, and effort, right, you must use the next lesson if you really want to guarantee that you are able to do so. So the second lesson, right, is create and document your success stories. About 10 years before, right now at this time of this video, right, I would actually teach investment classes just for the fun of it, right? I still remember, right, when I was first starting, I was just teaching to my friends, right, for me to learn and to accelerate my learning a bit further, right? I would actually ask my friend to actually book a mini seminar meeting room, right, in his university where it's in a central space, right? And we would actually all sneak into that room for me to teach investing, right, to about 5 to 7 to 10 of them, right, at once. And then while I get a lot of great feedback and testimonials, right, and a lot of great comments from it, my biggest mistake, right, was that I did not collect that would have been so beneficial for me. And so basically, you're going to remember this, right? The more social proof you can collect, the better. Because why? Then you can start demonstrating it through maybe your content, your website, your social media, right? And the more social proof that you have, right, the more likely other people can trust you. This is just a very fundamental human psychology. And so the biggest mistake I did after teaching investing for more than 5 to 8 years was that I barely collected any testimonials or any stories, right? And that sucked, right? Because when I wanted to promote it, right, investment, it's as if I started completely from scratch. So a very practical tip you can do, right, is to collect it on maybe your Facebook page, There's one. You can ask them to simply WhatsApp you their comments and takeaways, and then just screenshot it and maybe post it on your stories, or keep them in a folder that you can use it in the future, right? I use this website called trustpilot.com, right? You can check out my page. I'll link it somewhere over here. You can check out all the proof and pages they've collected it, right? Or you can even put it on a website, right? So we'll put separate links through the screen, right, that you can see it yourself. By documenting your success stories, right, you get to create more social proof when trying to promote your services to other people, and that's what allows you to charge your prices even higher as well. Next lesson, right? So a couple of years ago, right, I attended a exclusive event, right, where actually the famous Nas Daily, right, would actually share his lessons about how he created his viral videos for the very first time to the public. And so what happened was, during the event, right, I was so amazed, right, at what he was sharing. There was so much good content. I started to write down my notes from it, right? And what I realized after the event, right, why not help more people by asking on social media if more people would like to access his notes as well, right? What I got was about 200 or 300 people combined, right, expressing interest, right, for my notes of the entire 1 hour talk. Biggest mistake I did not do, right, was I did not collect their emails, right? At that point of time, I could just collect their emails, which I did not. So what I did is I just sent you the link directly, right? And the problem is I could not find a way to contact them directly again. Right? And so this is a big lesson, right? Is when you're starting on your business, in your journey or side hustle, right? Look to create a broadcast channel ASAP. Right? A broadcast channel compared to social media channel is that on social media you cannot control, right, when the people read your messages, right? But social media, for some reason, they can delete your account, right? They can ban you because they can decide not to show content because it's just not worth it, right? But when you have your own broadcast channel, whether it's on Telegram or WhatsApp or emails, right? When you control when you can broadcast a message, that is when, right, you get a lot more control of your business, your side hustle, your career, and where it would go as well. So the big lesson learned here is always create a list and always build it up, right, if you are serious about making more money consistently over time. The fourth lesson over here, right, is to post valuable content consistently. So one of my favorite quotes of all time, right, is by this guy called Zig Ziglar, right, which simply says this, right? To get more of what you want, you just have to help enough other people get what they want. And in my way, right, the best way to do it, right, is simply by using content. So in about 2022, right, I had someone, right, that just contacted me out of the blue, right, to say, hey, right, I would love to get onto a one-to-one call with you. Interestingly, right, that call was actually one of my most uncomfortable calls ever. Not because the person was being difficult, but because, right, she was the most agreeable, nice person to me, right, in terms of having zero objections, right, and having zero questions, right, when deciding to sign up for my program. I'm not used to it, right, because all I did, right, was simply to share my program, my offer, and she was just like, yes, I'll sign up, yes, I'll get this, and she'll go for it. And when I asked her at the end, right, like, why do you buy from me in the first place, right, she was like, I did not know you 3 days ago. I saw your content, right, as I searched you, right, because I was looking for a coach. I saw your profile. I started consuming a few of your pieces of social media content and I decided to sign up with you. And I was like, wow, right? That was really, that really showed me the power, right, of posting consistent content. And she gone on to be one of my most successful clients. And she has actually generated more than $1 million, right, for the life coaching company, right, that she's actually part of. This simply goes to show, right, that posting content helps you to make your sales process a lot easier. Right, and this is one thing I learned from one of my mentors, right, one of my virtual mentors, and this is what he calls the 7-hour rule, right, is that people must consume your content on average, right, about 7 hours before they will decide to purchase from you. Right, there's another framework, right, what my other mentor, Gabriel, right, says, which is called the mere exposure effect. Right, the mere exposure effect simply just means that the more people see your face, see your brand, the people can't help but to unconsciously trust you further, right? It's just a hack in our brains. Because the more we see you, the more you're probably someone who is trustworthy, and the more likely I'll buy from you as well. So over time, right, yes, just by posting content, right, people will trust you a bit further. But to take it one step further, right, do take note that the value or the content you want to create needs to be strategic as well, right? Because if not, you just give, right, but you might still be broke. Right, so by having strategic content, right, you allow people to move even closer to buying from you, and you get to accelerate the process in doing so. There are 4 main content pillars of your content that you want to take note of. Number 1, expertise. Right? Do you have insights? Do you have opinions? Right? Do you share lessons? Right? Do you share perspectives? Right? Do you share tips or tactics? Right? That are actually useful and valuable for people. Right? That's number 1. Number 2, credibility. right? Have you showcased, right, enough success stories, your awards, your accreditations, your accomplishments, your milestones to show that, hey, you're actually someone, right, worth following, right? Number 3, right, connection. Do people feel that they can trust you, right? Do people feel that they can relate with you? Do people feel that you can understand them? Because if you share all your success stories, you share their expert, but they feel that you don't connect with maybe their story, right? They don't feel that you're like one of us. They don't feel that you can understand them, right? They might not want to buy from you as well. In today's world, authenticity and connection, right, means a lot when it comes to business also. And the 4th content pillar is basically offer, right? Do you talk enough about your offer, right, such that people will trust your product or your service for them to buy from you in the first place? And so by creating content that actually demonstrates, right, a level of expertise, credibility, connection, and a great offer, right, the more likely people will want to buy from you. And the more strategic content, right, people consume from you, the more likely they'll buy. And it's especially today, right, important today because the world is getting more skeptical, right? People are getting a lot more options. By adding value through content, you're going to make people way more likely to buy from you, right? If you did not, just doing it maybe just by running ads or doing cold emails or DMs all the time. Many of my buyers have brought from me simply because I've constantly adding value in my lives, which is exactly what I'm doing right now, right? With the hopes that some of you eventually, right, might want to buy from me because I've given so much value that you'll be like, hey, right, why not work with this person as compared to a stranger that might not know too much? Next lesson, right? Qualify and disqualify. Right, so when I first started my entrepreneurship journey, right, I actually paid about $30,000, right, for my mastermind program, right, to learn from some of the Asia's best coaches, mentors, right, and so that I could really accelerate and skyrocket my journey, right, towards achieving my dream results. And this was the biggest lesson I learned from the entire mastermind, right, which is you always want to qualify and disqualify. So what he mentioned is that selling at the end of the day is like dating, right? Because if you say that if you don't mind dating anyone, right, or you just want to date everyone and anyone, right, you're just going to seem desperate, right, to your potential partners. On the other hand, if you show that you have standards, right, you immediately have higher value. And the best way in sales is to create that level of standards and expectations, right, by communicating clearly who you work for and who you don't work for. For example, for me, right, I definitely don't work for clients, right, who want to build a multiple 7-8 figure company. I don't work well with people that want to hustle and go crazy, right, their time, sacrificing their time and family, friends, because I don't work well with those people. I don't work well with people who want to build a company that wants to be acquired or wants to list. I work great with people that just want to build a business to support their lifestyle, right? I work best with people that want to build a cash flow positive business as soon as possible, right? I work best with people, right, who want to build a business while creating good for the people around them, right, at the same time. Right? By communicating clearly, the more you communicate who you work with, who you best work with, who you don't best work with, right, it allows you to set expectations of your standards. Right? And another great way to do this during your sales calls or your events, right, is to ask questions. Right? Because the more questions you ask, you can find out whether you can even help, right, the person in the first place, right? And so when you come from a space of curiosity rather than trying to sell every single you meet, right, you don't get too desperate as well, right? Because people can smell desperate energy from a mile away, right? What I would do, right, is I would actually share why I believe that you are suitable rather than trying to sell you immediately. And another tip is I would even ask, right, the other person, based on everything you've heard so far, right, do you feel that you are suitable? Just for me to just confirm that he or she, I'm not being delusional, and he or she actually believes, right, that we are suitable for, right, the program. And so if not suitable, right, no problem. I will always refer them to someone else that could be more suitable as well through affiliate sales, which could be a video for another day, right? But, right, by basically qualifying and disqualifying the people I work with, right, it allows me to make sales a bit less sleazy, a little bit more effective, right? And, right, I don't have to feel so desperate, right, every time I meet someone. Sales is a psychological game. Right, so when doing sales, right, I realized that when starting out, right, it was actually pretty easy for me to do, right. The first few clients I had, right, was me just having the one-to-one call, and I closed it, right, on the spot itself, right. But talking to a few of the people around me, right, my classmates, the people who attend the same workshops, some of my friends, I realized that even though some of them they had the best scripts or the best templates or the best strategies, I realized that a lot of them were actually struggling to sell. And I realized through a lot of observations and surveys and talking to people, right, was simply because, right, of two things. Number one, they did not believe in their product. They did not fully believe that they could succeed based on the price they were selling for the product. Right, number two, right, after a lot of reflections and observing, right, I realized the reason why it was a lot easier for me to sell was two reasons. I myself bought a high ticket product, which is why, right, I could sell a high ticket product a lot easier to other people. And number two, right, is I truly believed in what I do. And so that's when I realized that success is 80% psychology and 20% strategy. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it, right? And how you say it is usually a reflection of what is inside you. A huge thing, right, in my opinion, is internal alignment about charging high. So how can you expect to charge other people high prices when you yourself, you do not pay for high prices of premium product or service yourself, right? And then you become misaligned and people can smell, right, bull crap, right, from a mile away. Right, so if you want to charge high prices, you have to make sure on some level you are willing or you have already bought something higher. And number two, right, is do you actually believe in what you are doing? Do you believe in your product? Do you believe in your service? Do you believe you can deliver the outcome they're talking about? Because what I realized, there are a lot of marketing gurus or salespeople, right? They will overinflate, right, the claims, the outcomes, right, to a point where it becomes freaking ridiculous, right? Such that even when they say the best tactics, right, and stuff, a lot of people might not buy into what they say because they don't believe it themselves, right? But if you're not internally aligned or you don't fully believe in what you have to offer or you present, right, you are not able to get the sales they're looking for. If you find yourself having the right scripts, the right strategy, right, the right information and knowledge already, but you still have not been able to get the sales you want, is it more of a psychological game rather than an external game? Next lesson, right? Ease it in, right? Start with a small yes before going for the big yes. So initially when I was starting my business, it's actually pretty easy to sell my workshops, my programs, right? Because like I mentioned earlier, a lot of them were actually already consuming my content. So a lot of them already knew me for a long time and they trusted me already. After about a year or two, right, I realized that it got slightly more difficult to sell as people who already knew me, right, that those who wanted to buy from me already bought. What happened was I was still trying to sell the same way to a different group of people. People who might not know me as long, right, as before, and people who might not really trust me yet. Right, and so when I struggled for quite a while and I got a lot of feedback from my mentors and the people I was talking with, right, what I realized is I had to first start small. Right, I needed people to say a small yes to me first before going for a big or gigantic yes or signing up for my programs. What I've created, right, is a 3-stage process for people to say yes to me, right, to sign up for my programs. And this is what I got me and my clients to use that got us to, many of us, to achieve multiple 6 figures or even a 5 or 4-figure monthly consistent income. So stage number 1, right, is what we call interest. Right, so besides writing content, right, every now and then, right, you want to create what we call an attraction asset, or maybe asking people for a 2-hour free workshop, just to find out who are people who might be interested to what you do in the first place. Remember, usually you can give it free or very low price, but you are not here to sell to people yet. You're just here to find out, hey, who in my audience are actually pretty interested, right, to potentially working with me, or at least have that level of interest in finding out more what I have to do. Stage number 2, right, is to invite them, right, to come for a valuable event or program, right? And right through there, you want to invite them to potentially working with you. So it's only through after them getting to access maybe your attraction asset, maybe a lead magnet, or right, a workshop, and all this I'll explain more into detail in separate videos, right? When you explain to them, right, more about your offer at that point of time, then they'll be more likely for people to say yes to you. And for people who do not, right, get them to going back to your content and consuming content again, right, and right, you get them to be interested again, right, when you express or you ask people who might be interested over again. But for people who do say yes and they do work with you, right, then it brings me to what I call my 3rd stage, which is to get them to include them, right, into your ecosystem. Right, when I say include, right, is what I call having a recurring offer, right, such that besides working with you maybe for the first 2 days, the first 6 months, or the first 1 year, right, find a way to include them, right, to working with you, right, over a long-term basis. For example, Netflix, right, has a subscription model, right, Disney Plus, right, Apple, iCloud, they all have subscriptions, right, because they want you to work with them for a long period of time. Right, so when you get them, right, to sign up for something that can pay you over and over again, I love that for sales because it means that every single month you're not starting out completely from scratch. This is one of the core tenets, right, of my lifestyle business blueprint. Eventually, right, you come to a space where you're able to generate $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 every single month without having to sell to new people all the time. And this is only possible by having what we call a recurring offer. So this lesson over here, right, is to basically ease it in, right, to start with a small yes before going for the big yes. Next lesson, right, the power of DMs, right? So DMs, right, primarily just means direct messages. So what happened was when I was starting out in my social media journey, right, I definitely didn't grow as fast as I would like, right? My engagements were still very low, right? I didn't get a lot of people to like or to engage my posts, right? And I was trying a lot of different pieces of content, but it wasn't growing as much as I would like. And so when I talked to my mentors, right, I realized the easiest hack, right, that I could do immediately, right, to grow my level of engagement and views to my content. And basically the answer is simply to DM people, right? Because what I realized is the more people I message to invite them to see my content, the more likely, right, they'll open up. So once I did it, I got a lot more results. Right, so here's the big lesson learned here, which is don't expect your content to do super well, right, first start out. And the best way to control your results is to directly message people. Because what happens on content on social media is people are distracted, they might be overwhelmed, right, they might be doing something else. And chances are even your content might be super good, people might not see it just because they have their own things in life that they are actually bothered about, right? But one thing is, right, when you directly message someone, chances are their open rates or their view rates will be a lot higher, right? And then when you invite them to consume your content or potentially to read up more about your offer, the more likely they actually reply and respond to you, especially for people who might you might already know. So most of you already have people that you can sell to or people that you can actually benefit from product service. You just need to DM them. And right now in today's world, where personalization is extremely key, having people to DM, right, is one of the best ways, right, to improve your results, right, and it's a lot more likely to achieve your success by DMing, right, and by messaging people. Next lesson, the power and the importance of client relationships and delivery. So the one thing when building my lifestyle business, right, is I knew for sure when I started out is that I wanted as little stress as possible, right? However, something I observed in the industry, right, which I was initially impressed with, was a lot of the big gurus, trainers, speakers was making a lot of money, right? Having big teams, right, a big amount of clients, right, making millions of dollars, right? But what I realized after getting into the space more often, that many of them had refund requests, many unhappy customers, and a lot of them were struggling, right, to deliver the results. And I told myself that this is something I did not want to happen for my own business as well, right? And the worst thing was I realized that what a lot of them did, right, was to simply to promote, to sell more, right, to catch up on their lack of client results. And so while I get success is definitely a two-way street, so nowhere am I saying there was those the responsibility or fault of just the speakers and trainers and gurus alone. I realized for me, I simply just wanted to work with a smaller group of people, hyper-focus on getting great client results and letting the results speak for itself rather than trying to go hyper-aggressive on getting a lot of sales and marketing and advertisements, right? Because I did not want to live, right, in that kind of business model, right? And so what I told myself was that when I started my company is I wanted to hyper-focus on client success. And this is something I obsess about, right? Constantly upgrading my clients, right? I invested more than $3,000 for a 3-hour consultation just to improve my client delivery. I invested about $5,000, right? Working with one of the top client success directors, right? Around the entire world, right? In an 8-figure coaching company as well. Also, I can improve my client results, where most speakers and most gurus will always just improve on working on their sales and marketing, right? And so right now, right, is yes, I know that I still have a lot of things to improve, right, in terms of my client results, my client delivery, my client upgrades, right? I now have happy clients, right? I have word of mouth, right? People referred other wonderful people to us as well, right? People who have worked with us for years and people who only have good things to say about them. Right? Again, I'm not saying that I'm perfect, right? But what I realized that one of the best things for sales and marketing is really just to have a great product. The better your product is, right? The better your product in terms of delivering results, the easier your sales and marketing is. And so, right? And so the last bonus lesson I will give, right, is to simply focus on creating a product or service for recurring sales. So what I realized again, right, at the end of the day is for a lifestyle business, right, I did not want to be a company or a business where every single month I start over from scratch trying to sell again, right? Every single month I'll be always stressing out whether I'll be making enough money, right? And yes, while it's good to make huge amounts of money, right, charging $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 at one spot of time for programs, right, I did not want to be someone who was always reselling programs and services over and over and over again. This was not what I wanted to do. I really love just to simply add value, to create playbooks, content, systems, to coach people directly, to consult people, right? I love to do that. I did not really love sales, right? Even though I talk about everything above, right? So what I've decided or what I've changed or what I've crafted my business model to do is simply this. After the first year when my clients work with me, right, after the first year, right, when I have the conversation with them about potentially working with me, right, they can renew, right, simply on a monthly basis and they can cancel any single time, right? I have multiple tiers for them to decide depending on what they would prefer, right, what's more suitable for them. Basically, what it just means is after the first year, right, I aim for all my clients, right, to work with me, right, through a monthly recurring offer, right? I can simply, right, collect, right, their income every single month without having to chat them over and over again. But I still do add massive value, right, to every single one of them, which is what many of the clients love. They don't have to keep wondering whether they can extend a relationship with me or not, because why? They have complete flexibility by working with me every single month. And for me, it's great because every single month then, right, I get to start, right, already from a good baseline and I can start adding value, right, more than just trying to sell over again. Right? And so right now, right, I get to travel without having to worry about income all the time. And this was also part of the reason why during the month of my wedding, I was able to achieve, right, my highest month ever, right? Because part of my revenue, part of my income was through recurring income as well. So right now, right, my game plan over the next 1 to 3 years, right, is to build about $50,000 per month, right, from renewals, from recurring income alone, right? And I know it will take a few years to hit, right, but I'm not excited because I know that's what I'm working towards. But this is what gives me that semi-passive income, right, to build my dream lifestyle business. And I would love, right, for you guys to follow me on my journey, right, towards getting there, whether you do work with me or not, right? But this is my biggest piece of suggestion right now, which is instead of trying to just aim for making lots of money immediately, right, create a product or service for recurring sales, because that is your ticket, right, to creating the dream lifestyle and a dream business that you're looking for. Right, so with that, I hope you guys enjoyed, right, today's video, right? I know it's a bit lengthy, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. These are some of my best lessons, right, that I hope you can take away from it. Let me know which is your favorite lesson, what some actions you can take, right? Let me know if there's any topics you would like, and I'll see you in the next video.